Welcome to the Inside Maumee Athletics podcast, where we bring you the pulse of the Panthers' athletic scenes.
Welcome back to Inside Maumee Athletics. I'm your host, Jeremy Schneider. Today we're checking in with Maumee head football coach Evan Karchner. The Panthers don't kick off till August, but Evan has a big month ahead. On May 11th, Maumee hosts its first ever spring showcase at Kazmaier Stadium. It's an event where college coaches from around the region will come in and evaluate players in drills and workouts. It's a chance for players to either introduce themselves to coaches for the first time or strengthen relationships they've already built. It's something Evan has wanted to make happen since the day he arrived in Maumee, and now it's finally here. Then, just 2 days later, 3 more Panthers commit to play college football. Colin O'Neill to Otterbeing, and Ryan Patterson and Jackson Schneider to Ohio Northern University, bringing the total to 8 players who have earned college opportunities since Evan took over the program. 3 seasons, 8 players. Now that's a number worth talking about. But before we get to my conversation with Evan, let's hit a few other stories in Maumee athletics. The postseason pictures coming into focus for Maumee softball. The Panthers are 12-7 overall, and they earned the number 3 seed in the Division III district tournament, opening on Thursday, May 14th at number 2 seed Notre Dame Academy. Win there, and they face either Bowling Green or Waite in the district semifinal on May 21st at Clay. In the Northern Buckeye Conference race, Maumee sits at 7-2, good for second place, 1 game back of Oak Harbor, tied with Lake, and a half game up on Eastwood. The Panthers actually face the Eagles as I record this on Thursday evening. On the baseball side, the Panthers took their first NBC loss recently, but they're still sitting on top of the conference at 8-1. Overall, they're 12-5. They were ranked 19th in the latest state coaches poll, and they head into a Thursday matchup against rival Perrysburg on a hot streak. The tournament draw is set for Sunday, May the 10th, so we'll know their bracket soon. Good luck to both teams as they chase NBC titles and get ready for the OHSAA postseason. It's exciting times ahead. My guest today is Maumee football coach Evan Karchner. Summer's right around the corner, but Evan and his staff are locked in on the fall. The players are already gathering for unofficial workouts, and they're putting in serious time in the weight room. Man, this program does not stop. We talk about the spring showcase coming up on May 11th at Kazmaier Stadium, what it means for the players, and why Evan's been pushing to make it happen. And we get into the success Maumee's had getting players to the next level, because that number just keeps on growing. Here's my conversation with Evan Karchner. I know it's been something you've been looking at. I think it was the summer before your first season here. There was the NBC coaches meeting. It was in the Alumni Center at Kazmaier, and you brought up the idea of doing something like a college showcase, bringing in all the college coaches. Why was that important to you then? Why is it important to you now? Why do you think this is a good idea for not only Maumee kids, but kids across the region?
With how sports have grown, not just football, it's important to some kids, right? And it's important to some families having opportunities in college, right? Obviously you have some kids on your team that would like to try to play in college, and I think it's part of your job as a head coach to try to give them those opportunities, and I try to think of ways to give them those, and just sitting back, and because I was in their shoes at one point, just sitting back at some stuff I wish I had when I played, and the opportunities I had when I played. That would have been one of them, and I think that was something that's easy to do if some coaches got together. And I saw that obviously Anthony Wayne put on one with the NLL. They started one with the NLL, and I didn't think it was very hard, especially if you got college coaches that went to different places and you weren't all at one. And I was even willing to do it all at one. And if we sort of all put our resources together, and it's sort of, you were at that meeting, right? And sort of went back and forth, and not everybody was on board, and not everybody wanted to do it. And some people, right, fight against that because it's right? It's something extra, and
Right.
right, and we do a lot as it is, and then obviously there's a fight of, hey, you don't want kids to only focus on themselves, right, and their opportunities, right?
Oh,
That you
yeah.
also want to focus on our team and our program. But I do think there's a healthy balance to that, and this communicating that with your players. But we're very fortunate. We have a fairly good relationship with Anthony Wayne to get a part of their. They obviously extended it out past NLL to get a part of their day, because we do. We let Anthony Wayne use our field when they make the playoffs, and we obviously help them out when they need help. And I asked Andy Brungard if we could join their day, and he said yes, and I'm very thankful for that. And I just think it's a great opportunity for our kids to go compete and get in front of college coaches. And I just think the more notoriety our program has, and the more opportunities our kids have, it's the more kids want to come to Maumee, the more our kids want to play football, and the more excitement we bring to our program, which I just think it will be good in the long run.
You see other kids in basketball or soccer, baseball, all the other sports, they've all got like off-season AAU, they've got travel ball, they've got all this stuff, different stuff. Football doesn't have that. That makes a day like what you guys are doing even more important, because it's a way for them to get in front of college coaches. These other kids have travel ball where they can get in front of college coaches. Football players don't have that. That makes this more important, doesn't it, for that recruiting purpose?
Yeah, I mean, the prospect camps are very unique to football. Obviously, like you said, like baseball has their prospect camps. I'm sure soccer does, and all these other sports, and then basketball. But there is travel, right? And you could argue football has 7-on-7, but that's not football, right? And that's just a little bit of part of the game. And I'm not sure how hard coaches really look at that. But I do think it's a good opportunity to go compete if you like 7-on-7, right? If that's something that you like to do. But I think this is just something different, and it's something that it's also gets college coaches to come to a place where kids are comfortable. Kids are doing drills that their coaches are putting on, that their coaches are running. And because I do think going to somewhere like Toledo, right, for a Friday Night Lights camp and doing drills that you're not sure what you're doing with coaches that you just met with 500 kids there can be really nerve-wracking to some kids. And, and it's not very comfortable always. And you could argue, be like, hey, if you want to play college football, that could be uncomfortable at times. And I would argue, yeah, that's true. But if you're trying to really evaluate a kid for his athletic ability and his ability, maybe his potential to play college football, right, I tried to get him in the perfect setting to showcase his abilities. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for that.
You mentioned thinking back to when you were in this process, when you were a high school kid looking to go play at the next level, and things that you wish you would have had access to. So with these camps, with these prospect camps included, with what you guys are doing included, how has that process changed from when you were in high school to these kids now, what they're facing?
Yeah, I mean, it was different. So I talk to kids all the time. We didn't have Huddle until my senior year.
Right.
So we had our film on DVDs, right? So if you made a highlight film, right, you almost had to get help making it on a DVD, right, and burning DVDs. And I remember me and my dad made business cards with all my information on it and would mail it to coaches. And you had to write letters and send them and hope they read them. And email was sort of a new thing. Like I remember that being in school. So you got an email for the first time and you were emailing coaches. But you didn't really have like a Huddle link to send them, right? And you're hoping they were getting your film or they would come watch you. That would be bigger things. But they did have prospect camps, but they weren't nearly as big. There wasn't as many, but there was obviously there was ones at Toledo, ones at BG, ones at Ohio State. But I don't really remember like ones being at Adrian College or Defiance. Like I don't really remember the small ones.
Okay.
There could have been. I just don't really remember that. And there was definitely not any that were happening at any high schools, right? And I just don't think it was harder to get recruited, right? I would almost say, and I could be wrong because I was a player, but I would almost say you were hoping that someone showed up to your game, right? And I would always say, but man, people were coming to your games if you were winning, right? Especially if you were in the playoffs. So that was always an incentive, like, hey, win, get into the playoffs, playing big games, and there's going to be someone there watching. And then, hey, you got to go make some big plays, right? You got to stand out. And I think that was really important. So I think that's the big difference. But now I tell kids, I was like, man, if you're good enough, someone could Google your name and find everything on you in 5 seconds, and they'll find you, right? Whether you're at Maumee, Central, St. John's, Southview, Anthony Wayne, it doesn't really matter. Or Napoleon, they'll find you if you're good enough, right? It's as easy as typing your name into their phone and all your info pops up. And It wasn't really like that back then. They kind of had to search a little bit more.
I want to give you kudos and credit here. You know, Jack kind of made a goal for himself to play college football. Probably junior year. We'd gone to a few camps, in the summer before that, but really it was kind of his junior year where he was like, this is a possibility. This is something I'd like to do. And we didn't really have to search too much. I know I've talked to other parents and they're like, we had no idea what to do. We're not sure where to go. We had to figure it out on our own. Mm-hmm. You were very helpful, I guess is the best way to put it, in helping us figure that out and helping the kids find the way. So I definitely want to give you credit and kudos for that. And again, kind of go back to what I first said was this was something you were focused on from the very beginning. And I think that's very important for the program, the health of the program.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think there's a healthy balance to it because there's coaches that are like, hey, that's not important because kids can get really selfish, right? But I mean, it's their future, right? I mean, that's the next step. They're going to leave you at some point. And that's like kids coming to high school and you're saying, hey, I'm not worried about you going to college at all or what you're doing after college. And, and I do think you do got to help them in that and guide them there with also realize and say, hey, and our program's important. And you can't get that stuff if we go 0-10, right? You can't get that stuff if we're a 5-5 team, right? We got to win. If we win, people will look at our roster and say, who are the best players, right? I mean, everybody saw that in 2024. Look how many guys went and played college football. Yeah. And we were very fortunate with a lot of good players there. And I just think it was important because it was important to me. But I was also a very big team guy and I wanted to win. And I think I always had a grasp on what I wanted to do and, how I wanted to do it. And I think I know, I mean, coaching in college football for a handful of years and being in high school football and helping kids get to college, right? I know when some kids go overboard with the prospect camps and the recruiting. And sometimes I'm like, hey, I think you're wasting your time a little bit. And some kids and I don't, you always ride that line. You don't want to shoot down a kid's dream, but you also want to be realistic, right? Yeah. And I always give kids limits, right? I mean, your son's been in my program and I always say, hey, do them in June, get those out of the way because July, focus on us. That's part of the healthy balance. And I always say, don't do more than 3. You start doing more than 3, you're going to get burnt out, right? You do a lot with us. And I think 3's plenty, right? You'll see a bunch. And I've always said, kids, if you're not sure what ones to go to, sit down with me. We'll look, right? We can look on the internet. That's a beautiful part. 15 years ago, you were hoping to get some in the mail. You almost couldn't find them on the internet. You had to walk up and pay at the gate to get in, right? Wow. It was kind of like that. But yeah, I just think it's kind of my job and our coach's job to help guide that, especially having some college football players, ex-college football players and college coaches on our staff, right? I think that's a valuable resource for our kids. And I think it's just part of our job to guide them there.
I'm going to take it back to this past summer. Jack did a handful of these prospect camps. And one of them we did was a mega camp at John Carroll. And, there's going to be 31 coaches there, including some Division I coaches and blah, 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 all this stuff. And there was legit probably 700 to 800 kids there. There was probably 300 linemen there. And it's really tough. Jack and I had this conversation afterwards. How do you get noticed in that? Unless the coach is already focused on you beforehand, that's not a place you're going to go and get that first notice. I think what you're doing on here at Kazmaier, here at Maumee, that's the perfect opportunity for a kid who's maybe kind of just starting to get the recognition or maybe already has some recognition, but the coaches want to see him a little bit more. That smaller environment is going to be huge for these kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and mega camps, like you go back and forth with, those are very unique and those are fairly new, right? Like having a bunch of schools there and yeah, you could get there and there's a bunch of kids and I would only tell a kid like, hey, I would go to a mega camp if a bunch of schools are in contact with you, whether it's email, Twitter, text, and they're all going to be there, right? And then I would let them all know I'm going there.
Yeah.
Right. So they have you highlighted.
Yep.
And when I show up, I would go tell them, hey, I'm here. Hey, this is me. Right. Because they might not even know exactly what you look like. Right. And I've been in that spot before as a college coach. Right. And you can get lost really, really easily. And that's I do think it's unique for this showcase day. It's going to be hard to, right, if you're good enough not to stand out, right? And you just hope, like me and you talked to, you just hope the college coaches show up. And I've reached out to several college coaches. I told kids, if anybody reached out to you, invite them. And anybody's welcome. I put everything out on social media. I'm currently making a recruiting book when they come with everybody's info, where they live, cell phone number, QR code to their huddle, like anything that they could possibly need. Because, like I said, I've been in that spot before where I haven't had enough information on a kid, and I just want to give them all the information they could possibly need to figure out, hey, am I interested in that kid from Maumee or not? And I just think that's a little bit a part of my job. So I'm excited for our kids and excited for our program because it is new and I hope it's really successful and I hope a lot of coaches show up. And I know some of our kids are really excited and I think some are a little bit nervous because it's new. But I think it'll be a good day on the 11th.
Absolutely. So when a college coach comes or your kids are there, what's the setup of the day like? I mean, maybe not down to the granular level, like to the minute by minute, but broad strokes, high level. What's that day going to look like?
Yeah, so we're going to go at 1:30. So obviously, kids got to get let go of school early.
Right. So that's tough for them, man. I'm sure they hate that. They gotta hate that.
So that was part of working out that schedule with the admin and everybody. Because the hard part was that was during the middle of lunch. So figuring out lunches and stuff, but we figured all that out. And one thing is, hey, we're going to have 50 kids out there, and these college coaches need to know who's who compared to the prospect sheet they have. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our seniors in purple jerseys, our juniors in white jerseys, and our sophomores in gray jerseys and give them all a number.
Okay.
And on the prospect sheet, I have them labeled that way.
Yeah.
So they can easily find them.
Yeah.
And then on the prospect sheet, anybody that was like a returning starter, I highlighted.
Right.
Right. So anybody that's played Friday Night Football for us, I highlighted. That was something like I would want to know.
Sure.
So we'll walk out, and we only get 45 minutes. Like this day, you get a 45-minute time slot, and then they're on to the next school. So it's not very long.
Yeah, that's quick, yeah.
So I told our kids, you're not going to get a water break. Like, I'll have water around the field. You get it when you need it. I was like, but we can't, like, we won't have time.
Right.
So we're going to get, as soon as we get out there, we're going to get warmed up. We're going to do sort of like a county fair where it's a little bit of like agilities, get them moving a little bit, let them see it. Right. We're going to do a quick offensive indie, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, quick defense indie, 5 to 10 minutes, and just go right in the one-on-ones. Because I just think a lot of college coaches just want to see you compete, see you move in a natural setting.
Right.
And that's what, what we're going to kind of finish up on. Because really, if you look at the minute by minute, which, I mean, you know me, I'm very detailed on all that and have that all typed out and gone over it several times with the staff. Going to go over it one more time on Thursday, and I'll probably have a walkthrough with the team on next Sunday, about how all of it will go, just so we're not wasting any time. But we're going to be very efficient, and I'm just going to do things that I think is going to put them in a position to show their athletic ability to play football and what college coaches want to see. Some people like get up and run 40s and stuff. I just think that stuff takes too long for 45 minutes. And I was like, God, I could give you those, and we laser time our guys, right? And I can give you that and verify it and all that stuff. And part of me is like, if you watch him run and think he's fast and you want a time, invite him to your camp, right?
Sure.
Go in, message him on Twitter on the 11th.
Yeah.
Do you leave? Say, hey, I'm interested. Come run at my camp. I want to see how fast you are.
Yeah.
I bet you'll show up, right? And that's part of the process. And I tell a kid, right, if Joe Schmo got a message on Twitter after 11th from a team said, hey, come to the camp. I want to see you run. I'd say I would go to that camp.
Yeah. That's a direct
Obviously, they're
contact.
interested. Yeah. They're probably looking to check off one box.
Right.
And I'd get ready to run.
Absolutely.
So that would be a little bit of the deal. So, that's kind of what we're doing. And we have our script for one-on-ones, who's going against who, and sort of this. So we're not, waiting around and not sure what we're doing. So we just want to be efficient on that day and make sure we get in as many reps as possible.
With the relationship you mentioned with Andy out at Anthony Wayne and them having done this for the last few years, how much did you go to him for any advice, or did you base anything off of how these other schools in the area are doing it? Because like you said, it's 45 minutes is quick. Normally these things are 90 to 120 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't really ask anybody what they did. I had a general idea because, when I coached college football, I put on prospect camps for. Obviously, these were longer.
Right.
But I know what I would want to see.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
This as a college recruiter. Now, my opinions could be different from everybody else, but obviously I've worked on many different staffs. I've talked to a lot of different college coaches, and I'm just going off of my opinions, right? And I kind of knew how I wanted it. Like I knew when I did a showcase, I knew what I wanted. And obviously, if I had more time, I would add more stuff. But I knew when I had 45 minutes, I knew what was less important and what was more important. And I cut some stuff. The only thing I really asked Andy about was contacting college coaches to get there.
Okay.
Right. And I was asking him how he did that. He said, make sure your players reach out, right? If anybody contacts them, that's a big thing.
Okay.
He goes, he's like, I would email anybody you're interested in. And he's like, because not everybody that goes to Anthony Wayne will come to Maumee, and not everybody that comes to Maumee will go to Anthony Wayne, and so on. He said that's just how it's worked in the past. So I've been trying to email as many coaches as I could and reach out to as many coaches as I could, and just hope that works out for us.
It seems like over the last few years, college coaches really do like Maumee players. I know we kind of messaged about this a little bit, but you've got guys last year, Defiance, Adrian, Northwood, Findlay,
Trine, yep.
Trine. You've got guys now going down to Ohio Northern.
Yep.
What does it mean for the program now, kind of looking at the players going on to college? What does it mean for the program to have guys playing at the next level? Because, you kind of mentioned you don't want guys, there's other coaches that don't want guys to appear selfish and do all these things. But if a kid's going to be selfish, a kid's going to be selfish. The talent breeds into that success. And I think they kind of go hand in hand with what we're experiencing at Maumee now, with all the guys going on to college and the success we're having on Friday nights.
Yeah, I think it's good for our program. I think, and the good thing is the most successful year we had was the most kids we had go play college football, right? And I continue to say that. The more games we win, right, the more people show up to watch our games, right? And the more people come to our school and want to talk to you. Like, that's just how it works, right? No one wants to come talk to us when we go 5-5, right? That's just how it is, right? And I always say, guys, you need to focus on winning, play hard, win, do what I tell you to do. And I promise you, if you're good enough, they will come. You just have to trust me on that. And I just think if kids get too focused on, I need college coaches to see me, I need opportunities, I need this, that this never happens. It's like, a business guy always focus on making money, right? It's like he doesn't make money. He has to work on developing his business, right? Developing his whatever he's doing, or getting better at his job or his craft or whatever it is. That's what our kids need to keep on doing and keep on getting better at football. And I always tell them, you just need to trust me, right? Because I promise you, we go 10-0 and make a playoff run, there's going to be people with logos in our stands. Yeah. And that's the best thing, right? You want them watching you live, not through your huddle film, right? And because they're taking time out of their Friday night in the fall where they probably play the next day, and that's a big deal. Yeah. I was like, and that's a big deal. And that's where we want to get to as a program. And I think our kids are starting to get that. And, and it's been a process, and we're going into year 4, and winning and playing college football and all this talk and showcase wasn't even a thought for a lot of people. So I'm happy we're moving forward, and and I think it's a little bit of my job to keep kids focused on what's important and keep building trust between me and them, and letting them know, hey, I'm focused on our goals as a program, but you need to trust that I'm also focused on your goals too, right? And you just need to trust that, hey, sometimes you're not going to catch a touchdown pass, right? You need to block, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, Ohio State's also looking for wide receivers to block, right? Sure. Everybody is, right? They like to win too. And not just Ohio State. Ohio Northern likes wide receivers that block also, right? Yeah. And Baldwin Wallace or Adrian or Northwood or Trine, it doesn't really matter, or Findlay, right? People will take good football players, and that's not just guys that score and that are on TV, right? And those guys will find those guys. You just need to play hard, keep getting better at football, doing what's best for our program. And if we win games, that'll all take care of itself.
As a football coach, and it might be tough because there's one game a week for you. You play Friday night, and you've got to immediately on Saturday start getting ready for that next game. So you may not be able to get up to Northwood or over to Trine or, wherever you might have a college kid playing. So you may not be in the stands watching them play. But as a high school coach, when you've got a kid like Ramsey at Trine, Cody at Northwood, you've got Ryan and Jack going down to Northern next year. Obviously, I'm sure you do keep up with those guys. And how much pride does that give you? How cool is that for you to see a guy you saw as a sophomore, just this young kid, now all of a sudden he's a college football player? That's got to be something that is very cool for you as a high school coach.
Yeah, you like to watch guys grow and watch guys, go compete at other levels and watch guys follow through on stuff. And they change and they mature. And, you have Pierce on at Defiance, and, Ramsey went to Trine, and, you got Ryan and Jackson going down to Ohio Northern, and Cody up at Northwood, and Carson at Findlay. And, I talk to those guys all a lot, and I stay in touch with all of those guys because a lot of those guys were captains for us, and some of our best players, and I had really good relationships with them. And I've gone to games, and I've gone to spring games. Like I went down and watched Carson's spring game, and I just think it's funny. A guy that probably would roll his eyes at me if I ever asked him to play special teams for us was jumping up and down, making a good block on kickoff return in a spring game at Findlay for Carson. So I was like, man, how far have you grown since you left us? And it's just interesting because you get into a new level of competition, right? Sure. And you realize, hey, I just want to get on the field, right? You almost get to restart, right? You're not the big man on campus.
Yep.
And I just tell those guys, you need to go compete and you need to get on the field. And, you're not going to be the big man anymore, right? You got to go earn that again. And sometimes that'll take you 3 years.
Yeah.
And it can be hard. I say college football is really hard because you leave and you think you're the guy and you think you're better than everybody else. And you show up with 25 other guys that were also the guy and were better than everybody else. And you got to go get better. And I always say the guys in college will separate themselves to the guys that really devote themselves to football. Because there's a lot of distractions in college, right? Mom and dad aren't there. You have to decide what you're eating, what time you're going to bed, if you're doing your homework, if you're going to class, right? All that stuff, showing up to practice on time, doing what you need to do, right? Learning the playbook. There's a lot going on, and you're not near home, right? You got to do your laundry, right? You got like all this different stuff. And I always say, like, you got to focus, right? If you really want it, you got to focus on what you got to do. And really, I talk to Carson and Cody about that a lot. And they text me. I bet they text me at least once every couple weeks about whatever, and whether they're venting to me or just telling me about practice or whatever. And I told them, hey, you guys just got to keep grinding, keep learning, and keep getting better. And I was like, your guys' goal is to get on the bus, right? Obviously, they both got redshirted last year. I was like, you guys need to go to away games.
Yeah.
Right? That's your next goal.
Yeah.
And if that means you're on a special teams, that's it.
Yeah.
right? I was like, you need to get on the bus. That's the next thing. You need to get looked at as a guy that's on the travel team. And it's fun watching them grow and sort of reset themselves in that category, and sort of be in a different world. And when they're struggling, right, kind of come back to me and look for a little bit of, motivation. Because I've been there before.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I said college football is hard, man. Because you look to the left, look to the right to you, and there's some good football players, and you got to go compete. And in a lot of days, you're not going to win, and you got to still believe in yourself, and your confidence can get shot really, really fast.
I through the whole process of finding the school that's right for him and finding the program that's right for him, I think the one thing I told Jack was find the place where you are most wanted, where you feel like you're most needed. And we had a quick conversation, oddly, with the Heidelberg the Heidelberg athletic director. And he said, if football's taken away from you, go where you still feel like you fit. If you can't play football, and whether that's you get injured or you're not playing for the first few years, go where you can put that work in practice, in the classroom, and you still feel like you belong there. What type of advice, is that good advice? What other type of advice would you give guys who are going through that recruiting process and looking to play at that next level? What should they be looking for?
Yeah, I mean, my sister actually said this yesterday. You should never pick somewhere to go, and it's hard to say, especially when you get money, right? And because I do think that's important, but you should go somewhere to get education, right? Because
yes,
the chances of you playing in the NFL or the MLB, going to the Olympics, are very slim. I was one of those kids. I thought I could go play in the NFL, right? And I went to Bowling Green, and I realized really fast, I'm not going to the NFL, right? I looked at guys that did go to the NFL, and I'm like, they're a lot better than me. They look different than me, right? Yep. All this stuff. And I was like, but I'm going to make myself the best college football player I could be. I decided that really early. But I went to Bowling Green because I liked Bowling Green, right? I liked Bowling Green as a college. I liked how far away it was from home. I obviously went into education, had a good education school.
Yep.
Obviously, my playing career got cut short, and I was just fine with being at Bowling Green. I wasn't mad being there. And I do think you have to get ready with that because, especially with football, man, one hit, your career can be over, right? You could decide you don't like it. Kids quit all the time, right? I mean, it happens from youth all the way through NFL, right? I mean, and in the grand scheme of things, right, your next step out of college probably won't be football, right? It'll probably be your professional career. So you got to pick something that is going to help you take that next step. And you got to make sure that's something that's going to help you for your future past those 4 years or 5 years, whatever it is. And I do think it's important to pick a good college and not just pick a college because you think, hey, I just want to play football there, or I want to play baseball there, or I want to swim there.
Right.
You should go there because multiple things. I think that's part of it. But I also think you should say, hey, I also like the school. I like the campus. I like the community, right? I like the coaches, right? Coaches could leave. I walked around, right? I like the dorms. I like the housing. I like restaurants, right? Stuff that you're going to have to experience for 4 years. I do think that's important because I do think college is a great experience, and you either have a really, really good one or a really, really bad one. And I think a positive experience in college could be a great boost for you into your professional career.
Big thanks to Evan for being on the show. People see him on the sidelines on Friday nights, but what a lot of fans don't realize is that coaching football at this level is a 12-month job. The spring showcase, the recruiting relationships, the weight room culture, that's all Evan. The results speak for themselves, and Panther fans should feel really good about where this program is headed. Our Panthers of the Week are Anthony and Jamie Sherney, the driving force behind Maumee Little League. MLL has been a cornerstone of this community for decades, and under Anthony and Jamie's leadership, along with the entire MLL board, it's thriving again. Opening day came and went with the parade, packed fields at Ford Field and Fairfield, and a full slate of games. As someone who's had multiple kids come through the program and has another one playing this season, I can tell you firsthand, what Anthony and Jamie have built here is something special. The dedication they pour into Maumee's youth is something the whole community should appreciate. And that'll do it for this episode of Inside Maumee Athletics. Huge thank you to Evan Karchner for his time. It's always great to sit down with the head football coach. Best of luck to the players at the Spring Showcase next week, and a big congratulations to Colin, Ryan, and Jackson. Standout careers as Panthers, and now they get to keep playing at the next level. That's what it's all about. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a second to rate and review the show wherever you listen. It does make a real difference in helping new people find us. You can reach me at InsideMaumeeAthletics@gmail.com and follow along on Facebook by searching Inside Maumee Athletics. I'll be back soon with another great conversation. Until then, thanks for listening.